so fresh, looking so fresh. When I walk by, breaking their necks. Waiting in line at the team store, now I'm feeling fly like a condor. Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more, cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching, never going out of fashion.
All right, episode 638, Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here, September 26, 2024. Padres, they lose the National League West to the Dodgers. They dropped 2 out of 3 in this series, but the good news overall from this series, they clinched a playoff spot. Obviously, I already gave my thoughts on that from game one. After game one, went live there for that. But yeah, these last couple of nights, they stunk for sure, because after game one, you had that excitement, like, hey, not only did they make the postseason, they clinched a postseason spot, but we're only 2 games back in the West. Like, it's still there, and now it's gone. It's just, I didn't even watch the Dodgers celebrate. I saw the pop-up and just left, got off the couch and came over here. So yeah, I have no appetite to see them do that. But I mean, if we want to look at this, bright side, and this is factual, winning the NL West has worked out not so great for the Dodgers the last couple of years, right? I mean, if you really think about it, winning the West has worked out bad for them every year for the last decade when they won it, right? Because we don't count 2020. Every full season hasn't worked out. I mean, it's worked out great for them from our perspective. So hopefully that continues. Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, maybe they show up small come postseason time. By the way, because I might forget about this later, the talk about, can't pitch to Shohei, maybe put Shohei on in big spots. I understand that, but at the same time, we got to remember, if you put Shohei on base, let's say, because first base is open, now you add an extra base runner, and usually the Padres are bringing in a lefty to face Shohei Ohtani, right, to get the matchup. And now if you don't even face him, then maybe you have a lefty in the game. And by the way, you have Mookie Betts coming up to the plate with an extra guy on base. Would you rather face Mookie or Shohei? Yeah, I'd rather face Mookie, but it's still Mookie Betts, I think we should trust our pitchers, and it would be, if it's like a 5-0 game and a 2-run homer can't hurt a lot, okay, maybe. But if it's a close game, I mean, I'm still probably pitching to Shohei. And tonight, by the way, late on that single that he had, he took that ball was on the outside part of the plate and he pulled it, and it barely got through past Luis Ariz. I wasn't pissed off at how Shohei hit that ball. It's not like it was this super hard contact. But, the story of this game was kind of like last night. It wasn't the walks, but just the giving the game to the Dodgers is how I saw that. They have the 2-0 lead, and then do I agree with the decision to stick with Joe Musgrove? Yes. He had, 70 pitches through 6 innings. He was pitching really well. I'm fine with that. Already in the playoffs, if you lose this game and you don't win the West, it's not the end of the world, which it isn't. He just, bottom line, he was pitching well. In the postseason, maybe they go with the bullpen there. I don't know. But Joe, 70 pitches. He was really efficient there. I was totally fine with that. But that 7th inning comes around, and I believe it was a walk, right? Or was it a single? It was a walk, yeah. Musgrove walked Muncy, and then, breaking ball middle of the plate to Will Smith. Can't throw it there. And Joe knows that. That was his one big mistake. He would say the walk as well, but that was the one big mistake on the night for Joe. Other than that, he was really efficient. He had what, 3 hits allowed, I think? 4 hits, maybe. No, 3 hits, I think. 3 hits allowed through 6 innings. Only had walked 1 guy. I mean, I'm going to take that outing against the Dodgers on the road. 6 1/3, 2 earned runs. You keep the Padres in the game. You did. And in the postseason, again, who knows if Joe goes out there for that 7th inning, and he would have had 6 shutout innings instead of going out there for the 7th and then giving up a couple of homers there. And then Tanner Scott comes in, and it's just one of those where Tanner Scott is one of the relievers that we trust, and he just had an issue, you know? Kike Hernandez gave up that single to Kike. Then Higgy, he has the most catcher's interferences this season, by the way. I think he has 6. So hopefully that doesn't happen come postseason time, because that was big tonight, because an extra runner gets on base. Shohei has the single, and Kike ends up scoring. The catcher interference. Pages, he ends up getting to third on that play, and then he scores on the Mookie RBI single. Shohei scored as well. So Tanner Scott, yeah, just leaving balls over the middle of the plate. Higgy, obviously, with that catcher's interference. I don't want to say mistake, because obviously he's not trying to be that far up, right? With the catcher's interference. It's weird. I can say mistake on like a bad pitch, a bad throw. With catcher's interference, yes, it is a mistake, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Like, it's a weird thing to label as a mistake, you know? But you could say, well, Ben, he's leading the league in it, so I mean, I should label that as a mistake. It's an issue. But when I saw that, I think Too Much Morton's tweeted it out. When I saw that, I was surprised by it. It's not like I saw the catcher's interference and I was like, oh, he does that all the time. But, you know, in comparison to MLB, the rest of the league, yeah, he does. So Freddie Freddie Freeman, he ends up rolling his ankle, and who knows if that's like a fractured ankle, a sprained ankle, who knows. Some people on social media, for some reason, thought that I wasn't actually being genuine when I said hoping Freddie Freeman's going to be all right. Some people are just sick. Like, seriously. I hate the Dodgers, yes. But I also realize those guys on the other side are human beings. And, I mean, look how small Freddie Freeman showed up last year for the Dodgers in the postseason. Look at 2022, right? He was on that team. The Padres can beat the Dodgers with Freddie Freeman on the roster. If they would have won tonight, which they had a 2-0 lead late, guess what? They would have won every series that they'd played the Dodgers this regular season. They've already won the season series. So I'm not sitting here like, oh, Freddie Freeman. Yeah, he's a great player. Got to watch out for him. But some people that really think that I actually don't think that he's okay, I mean, come on. Really? So 7-2 loss, bummer. But, you know, Padres, they went 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And so you're facing the Dodgers like that with the weapons that they have offensively. Leave 7 guys on base. Give them some free stuff here tonight, like that catcher's interference, giving them that extra runner. It makes a difference. There was the Tatis throwing error that got past Manny there at third. Just giving them stuff. And, you know, the Padres, they've done a good job when the other team has given them stuff and take everything, don't give them anything, right? Like, that's been the one of Schilt's phrases this year, even going into the year. But the reverse happened to the Padres here tonight. Long term about Tanner Scott, am I worried? No. Go look at the ERA. It's 1.75. Brian Hoeing did give up a couple of earned runs tonight. Yuki ended up pitching, which he's alive, so that's cool. Walker Buehler doesn't scare me come postseason time. By the way, I think if the Padres were to face the Dodgers come postseason time, it wouldn't be until the NLCS, because I think the Dodgers would get, or maybe the Dodgers would get the 1 seed. The other day when I looked, it was the Phillies that had the 1. The Phillies have played one more game than the Dodgers have. No, actually, they haven't. MLB.com just hasn't updated it yet. So Dodgers actually would be. So it would be the. I think it would be the DS because the Dodgers, as of now, are the 1 seed. Padres are the 4, and that's obviously where the focus needs to be, right? Is keeping the first wild card, which they're going to do. I mean, if you look at the standings, quick standings update for the wild card, they're 3 games up on the Mets, who, yes, they have 2 games to play on Monday against the Braves when everyone is done. So that's going to throw a wrench into some things. I would not want to be a Mets or Braves fan right now. One, you're fighting to get into the postseason, and then what position is your bullpen, your team in general, going to be in if you do make the postseason? Playing these consecutive days. I guess the good thing for them is they got double days off. They got 2 days off in a row with the bad weather in Atlanta, but that's going to make for an interesting situation there. But right now, the matchup would be Mets at Padres Tuesday, Wednesday, hopefully just Tuesday and Wednesday because they win in 2, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if necessary, for the wild card series. And then the division series would start the following, or excuse me, that Saturday. So not this coming, obviously, but next Saturday, I think, would be game 1, all the game 1s of the AL and the NLDS. Padres, by the way, with this loss, they're still 7-3 in their last 10. So they're still playing good baseball. The run differential is plus 93. I'm not panicking over losing this series to the Dodgers. I'm not. You can look at the positive things. We can be concerned about Robert Suarez. If you want to be concerned about Tanner Scott after tonight, I would. I just wouldn't be on the same page as you. You can do that, obviously. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but I'm not there. I'm obviously more worried about Robert Suarez than I am about Tanner Scott. Yeah, that's really what I got from today's game. I mean, it was just that 7th inning really sucked. Just giving up Musgrove with the walk, obviously, giving him an extra base runner, then the homer, because of course. And then Tanner Scott comes in and there's more free stuff given with the catcher's interference from Higgy. And then Tanner Scott, not the dominant Tanner Scott that we've been used to for the most part. But, I mean, it's not like, again, Shohei's single there. It wasn't a bullet. I wonder if Solano was there. Would that ball have been grabbed at first, or would that have still been a hit to right? Who knows? But yeah, that's what I've got from tonight. Dodgers, obviously, they win the National League West. I did not stick around to see anything that happened. I didn't see if they were jumping around on the field. I don't care. Didn't see it. Don't need to do that. The series probables, I believe, are out for that D-back series, which, I mean, obviously, that's where our focus immediately turns to, right? NL West was going to be awesome if they would have done it, got the days off, but wild card, it's still not the end of the world. As of now, Friday is the only pitcher that we know, according to Jeff Sanders. That's going to be Yu Darvish. And then Saturday and Sunday are to be announced. Earlier today, it was Martin Perez for Friday, and then Darvish Saturday, King Sunday. But I guess that's been changed. Probably because the Padres, they want to win Friday, clinch that 4 seed, the first wild card, and then, which I don't think they even can on Friday, huh? Because I think they have to win 2 games. Win 2 games, they would clinch it, or they win 1, and then I think the Mets and the Braves both have to lose tomorrow, whoever they play tomorrow, for that to happen. So maybe Martin Perez goes Saturday and then King Sunday. Obviously, those are to be announced because the Padres don't want to pitch Michael King if they've already clinched the 4 seed and there's nothing to be playing for, right? You just call up Randy Vasquez or whoever to pitch that. All right. I see Bomani. I haven't heard from Bomani in a while. What's up, man? How's it going? Can you hear me? Bomani? Oh, I don't think he can hear me. Bomani, I'm removing you. You can come back in and try to come back in. There's some connection that was off there. Obviously, yesterday Padres lost 4-3. Containing Ohtani, obviously it's tough. The most talented player on the planet, the most talented player I've ever seen. And these last couple of days, he's had I think multiple hits. Yeah. These last 2 days, he's combined for 5 hits. He has a 1,030 OPS. He's hitting 305 right now. It's ridiculous. Now, what I will say is those stolen bases, those are pretty inflated. It seems like he has a lot of those fake stolen bases where it should be defensive indifference because nobody's covering the bag and he just gets a stolen base. But everything else, I mean, yeah, it's legit, obviously. He's special. He went 2 for 3 last night. Freddie Freeman went 2 for 4 last night. And, the Padres, it was similar to game 1 where they got down early, 1-0, but then came back immediately. Top of the second, Bogey had an RBI single, made it 1-1. Crony sack ground out, made it 2-1. Gavin Lux, though, tied it back up in the bottom of the 4th, made it 2-2. Shohei Ohtani doubles, scores Gavin Lux, makes it 3-2. Nando, though, tied it up with a homer. That ball was freaking crushed. He loves crushing baseballs at Dodger Stadium. Holy cow. I think that was the Padres' farthest hit ball this season, farthest homer. Made it 3-3. But then Shohei came back with an RBI single there in the bottom of the 6th. That ended up being the difference. And it was Dylan Cease. He gave up 3 earned runs. And it wasn't the best version of Dylan Cease, obviously. It wasn't what he did his last time out where it should have been a complete game, right? And then Bogey had that error. Obviously, wasn't that performance, but he still showed the ability to keep the Padres in the game, right? He leaves the game, and because I think it was Estrada, right? That gave up that earned run, the Shohei. But Cease, he leaves the game, and it's a tie game. Jack Flaherty and Cease had pretty much identical lines. Flaherty, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. Cease, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. Flaherty gave up 1 fewer hit than Cease. Cease had 1 fewer strikeout than Flaherty, but Flaherty did give up the homer to Nando. Cease didn't give up any homers. It was another one where the Padres, they didn't do great with runners in scoring position. 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, left 5 guys on base. The rest of the bullpen, though, Morahone, Hoeing, Peralta, they all didn't allow any earned runs. This one was gifting them, right? If we go to, I think it was when did they first, that Dylan Cease inning there in the 4th. That's right. Walking Miguel Rojas, the 9-hitter, before Shohei Ohtani is inexcusable. And Dylan Cease would probably say that as well. Can't happen. And Shohei obviously makes the Padres pay, makes Dylan Cease pay after that. It was Dylan Cease that, no, it was Cease on the mound there in that 4th. I was thinking of another inning with Estrada. But yeah, walking Rojas, those mistakes right there could be the difference in the Padres advancing it around or going home. Little things like, the margins are so small come postseason time. And then in the 6th inning, what killed the Padres, again, were free passes from Dylan Cease, the walks. 2 walks. Walked Will Smith, walked Tommy Edman, and then Morahone comes in. Excuse me. It was Estrada that had those 2 walks. My bad. Sorry, Dylan Cease. Estrada had those 2 walks. Morahone comes in, And then Shohei has a single, which ends up scoring the first guy that walked in that inning. So, yeah, it was too many walks. When you walk that many guys, how many walks do they have? 6 walks last night the Padres gave the Dodgers. That's unacceptable. Can't happen. Now, the Padres had 6 walks as well. But just, when a good offense, especially, again, like the 9-hitter, that's a killer. Walking the 9 guy, and then Shohei comes up. You're probably going to pay more often than not. And I saw a stat that Shohei is like 10 for 11 with runners in scoring position in his last 11 ABs. Like, it's ridiculous what he's doing. So, especially when he's on a heater like that, yeah, can't make those mistakes. So, that was the big difference in that game last night. And that was a punch. That was a gut punch for sure. Because, again, going into last night after winning game 1, it was like, man, we're 2 games back. We are in this. We control our own destiny, all that stuff. And then you lose last night. And even going into tonight, it was like, yeah, I mean, it's still there. A lot has to go right, but it's still there. And then you have a 2-0 lead. And then Joe's out there for the 7th, which, again, I was fine with. But obviously what I'm not fine with is the walk and then the bad location to Will Smith on the homer, and then it just spiraled down from there. Not a great night from Tanner Scott. And the Padres lose the series. Again, it's not the end of the world, though. Like, that's the good thing here is the Padres, they've already clinched a postseason spot. They're going to be the 4 seed. I would be shocked if they're not the 4 seed. And really, this last series is about obviously clinching that 4 seed, but having guys be healthy, going out of that D-back series, and get some guys maybe going. Also, get some of those other guys in the bullpen. Get, the Tanner Scotts of the world needed rest, but also get some of those other guys like Yuki Matsui, like Wandy Peralta, like Alec Jacob. Get those guys some time to eat those innings to allow others to be resting. And hopefully with that 4 seed clinched, if they can win tomorrow and they get Braves and Mets with losses, then Michael King doesn't have to pitch. Sorry, I just saw the Castavell tweet right now. Yeah, Darvish starting game 1 tomorrow, and then don't know beyond that. Haven't announced anything beyond that. Padres have not said anything. But yeah, get the rest. Hopefully it's, none of the big 4 starters having to pitch after tomorrow. If that has to happen, still not the end of the world, because the Padres, as of now, because we don't know if Michael King's going to pitch or not, they have lined up their wild card 3 games as Cease. I think it would be no. Would it be Cease? Yeah. Cease, Musgrove, Darvish, I think, is how they line it up as of now. With Darvish, because Darvish, if he pitches tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a possible game 3, he'd be on 5 days rest, I think. That 6th day he would pitch. So that's how they, because I'm with all due respect to Martin Perez, I'm not putting him in that, obviously. We know it's the conversation is, okay, who's the odd man out? And as of now, we don't know if Michael King's going to be pitching. And to be honest, for me, I probably would lean towards Cease game 1. Maybe you don't even announce the game 2 starter until what happens with game 1 if the Padres win. Because Darvish, he would be pitching on normal rest to pitch game 2, I think, for Wednesday. So if the Padres win game 1, do you go Darvish game 2 and you leave Musgrove for a potential game 3 must win? Or if you lose game 1, you go Musgrove game 2 and must win? Because for me, who would I rather? I mean, I love you, Darvish, but I'd rather have Joe Musgrove on the mound. I'm not saying you, Darvish, isn't a competitor. He is, obviously. But with the way Joe is pitching, I'd rather have Joe on the mound. Just the dog in him, obviously, like that is a factor too. Again, I'm not saying I don't want to make this seem like Darvish doesn't have it, but the hometown kid at Petco Park, must-win game. The guy has the history in 2022 of showing up big in the must-win game. That's who I'm going with. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, just those are my thoughts on the last couple of games and what's ahead here. The D-backs, they're 88-71. Do they have? I'm going to check here. I want to see if they have their starters announced. So they're going with Merrill Kelly. By the way, the D-backs, I mean, they're fighting for their lives. So we're going to get a desperate D-backs team. They're a game up on the Braves for that final playoff spot. So, I mean, they're fighting for everything. Merrill Kelly is the game one starter tomorrow for the D-backs. That's at 6:40. Darvish on the mound for us. Then Saturday, it's to be announced. Sunday is to be announced as well. Saturday is at 5:10. Sunday, every team in baseball plays in like they start their game on Sunday, which I love, in the same like 5 to 10 minute window. Padres, they're at 12:10. I see the Cardinals and Giants are at 12:05. 12:05, Rays, Red Sox. What are the other? Let's see. Dodgers, Rockies at 12:10. Where's the Mets? Royals and Braves are playing at 12:20. So Mets, Brewers are at 12:10. So really like the same, or about the same like 20-minute window, I should say. Every team. No Sunday night baseball. So that's good. Everything's going to be going on at about the same time. All right. I also wanted to, by the way, get to the Fernando Mookie interview. I'm going to touch on it for like a minute. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it because, to be honest, and I watched it live, there wasn't a whole lot that came from it. I mean, to me, my thoughts on it is, and I know this is an old school, maybe a get off my lawn type take that you might hear from an 80-year-old or something. Why are you doing this during a division against a division rival in a huge series at the end of the regular season? You're fighting for the NL West. Why the heck would you do this, Fernando? I'm not mad at Fernando. Like, I get it. This day and age, I mean, this is in a bunch of sports. It's not just Major League Baseball. These guys don't hate each other. Sure, there's a rivalry on the field, but it's not the same, right? You don't see these like big brawls between, the division rivals where there's a bunch of punches thrown. You don't really see that now, right? But if I was Fernando, and I don't want to pin this on Fernando because Mookie, I mean, was the one that it's his show. He recruited Fernando to join him on the show. So if I was either guy, to be honest, I would not be doing an interview with one of the stars on the Dodgers and just laughing like, oh, nothing's happening. That's the competitor in me. That's me saying I don't want anything to do with that other team that I freaking hate. Now, again, Nando doesn't hate Mookie, right? These guys, it doesn't seem like they hate guys on the Dodgers. I mean, all the time. You just look, a guy reaches first or second, there's a what's up, how's it going, right? It doesn't seem like there's many situations where they're just not talking. Now, postseason, maybe that might be the case, but it just has changed. Sorry, I'm going longer than a minute, I guess, but less than 5. I would not have done this interview at this time. If you want to do it in April, you want to do it whenever the Padres met, you want to do it whenever that first series at Dodger Stadium was this year between the two teams, okay, sure, go ahead. I would not have done it September 26th when the NL West has not been decided. Both teams are fighting for that. Division rivals could play each other in the postseason. I'm not sitting down with Mookie Betts to talk about me being in the water naked. I mean, literally, that's what came up. I'm not joking around here. That literally came up during this conversation. Talking about Nando's cleats and the hiking in the off season, how Nando goes and hikes, I think in the Dominican Republic for 3 days. And Mookie was asking, he was like obsessed with this hiking stuff, asking about where he gets his food. Does he bring a pan? Where does he get his water? Do you make a tent? Like, just, I mean, I don't understand if it does have a huge following, it must be just because Dodger fans love Mookie, because that was not a very entertaining interview, to be quite honest. And again, I just wouldn't have done it. I was surprised when I saw that notification pop up that live in the Bleacher Report app, Mookie talking with Tatis. I was like, what? Again, that's just a competitor in me. Maybe that's an off-season thing. I would not have, or earlier in the season, I would not be doing that on September 26th. But again, these player relationships, they're different. We're fans, right? Us as fans, we hate Dodger fans. We hate the Dodgers. The players don't have that same hatred. There's some players that probably hate other players, but it's not like every player hates every player on the other team. That's not how it is. All right, quick break, and then I'm going to get to the chat. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. Some of the other great partners of the show, by the way, Breaking Tea, they've got Padres and Aztec shirts and sweatshirts. They just released I'm not a big TV watcher, but I think it was like a Friends, that TV show, a Friends style shirt that says Friars. So you can check that out. Obviously, they've got a lot of players: Musgrove, Tatis, Manny, Profar, Merrill, Cease, Darvish. I mean, they've got a bunch of guys. So, and by the way, if you have any recommendations, you can throw those my way, and I can throw them their way on shirt recommendations. I love the feedback, and I'm sure they'd love it as well. Underdog, click the link in the description. Use code Talking Friars, 50% deposit match up to $1,000. You get to claim a special pick, which Underdog has a bunch going during NFL season, and they have, I think, at least once a week during the rest of this MLB season. We'll see what happens in the postseason. I obviously will promote that. I actually won today on Underdog. So not that you guys care, but hey, at least that's a positive coming from tonight. I did Manny Machado higher 1.5 total bases, and he got a couple of hits tonight. And I did Lawrence Butler, final game in Oakland, 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, got higher on that. And then I did Joe Musgrove lower, 2.5 earned runs allowed. Obviously lower on that because he allowed 2 earned runs on that Will Smith homer in the 7th. I did want to touch on Oakland, by the way. I feel for Oakland fans because as a San Diegan, I went to the Chargers' last home game at Qualcomm. And I was in the upper deck. I remember I was begging my parents, can we please go? Because I knew like we didn't officially know at the time, but it was like, this is going to be it. And so I wanted to be there. And I remember crying all the way until I think my mom had to say, like, Ben, we have to go. Security, they're trying to clear out the upper deck. I love the Chargers, love the Padres. I mean, I'm a San Diego sports fan, through and through. And so that really sucked having to go through that. And obviously them going to LA just made it freaking worse, right? The Chargers leaving did not need to happen. Didn't need to happen. And the A's leaving Oakland didn't need to happen. John Fisher writing that letter to A's fans saying, I'm sorry that he did this week, and he wishes he could talk to every individual fan and all that BS. The fans don't want to hear it. Saying that you try, like you gave your best effort. No, you didn't, because you're a billionaire owner. And one, he wasn't investing in the team on the field payroll wise. He was trading away the best players, Matt Olson. I know he's the owner, not the GM, but he had to approve those big deals. Sean Murphy, Matt Olson, Matt Chapman. I mean, the list goes on and on. Not signing guys like a Marcus Semien and not making improvements to that ballpark. And I know that you're not going to make improvements when, you have your foot out the door, but just the way that he treated A's fans, the president as well, by the way, that guy needs to be under that same umbrella as John Fisher. It freaking sucks. I felt so bad. I have felt so bad for A's fans for months and months and months. And I love listening to Dallas Braden. And I feel so bad for him, obviously. And I just got, the flashbacks of San Diego losing the Chargers when it didn't need to happen. And the A's, Oakland losing the A's when it didn't need to happen. You don't need the city to be paying for a stadium. You're a billionaire owner. If you actually want to be in the city, you can be in the city still. But John Fisher clearly didn't. He didn't care about the fans. Because, they don't even have like this firm plan of what's happening in Las Vegas, to be honest, right? If you go research it, there's no shovels in the ground. And they're going to be playing in a minor league ballpark for a few years on AstroTurf. And by the way, there's going to be like 160 games there a year because Oakland's playing there and a minor league team's playing there. They don't have, it's not major league facilities at that minor league ballpark. Fans aren't, who's going to want to stick with the A's, right? And then earlier this year on his press conference in Sacramento, I think, he's talking about being excited to see Aaron Judge hit homers in that Sacramento ballpark. Like, are you kidding me? So you can be, and I'll relate this back to the Padres, you have two options as an owner. You can be John Fisher or Dean Spanos, or you can be Peter Seidler and say, no, we're going to, because John Fisher, it was the same like situations. Oakland lost the Warriors, lost the Raiders. The A's he had a chance to say, nope, Oakland, that town is a baseball town. It is the A's town. We are here to stay and get sold out, packed ballpark, spend money. He chose to go the other option, the other way. Peter Seidler and Ron Fowler, too, I do want to give him some credit. They took the right path. No, San Diego, we're not going anywhere. This is a baseball city. You deserve money spent on this team. You deserve us trying to win. You deserve to have the best ballpark in baseball. You deserve all of this. We see you. We know this is a great sports town. We're not leaving. So that's the decision that should have been made. Any owner that moves the team, oh, I tried. Shut up. Shut up. Fans don't want to hear that. You didn't try hard enough. There's no try. It's due. If you're a billionaire owner, it's due. If you really want to be there, you can be there. If you really wanted it to happen, it would have happened. So I feel for A's fans. That was a freaking sucky day today. I watched the beginning of that game. I'll watch the rest of the highlights as well. I relate to them, and I know San Diego relates to them, and I'm sorry, that freaking sucks. Back to the Padres, though. Back to the chat. Alexander says, well, at least baseball comes back soon. Postseason baseball, you mean? Yep. I can't wait. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Hopefully Tuesday and Wednesday only at Petco. Maybe it's going to be Cease and Musgrove on the mound. I don't even want to throw out there, like, who would we rather play? Because I feel like then only something bad could happen after that. But I'm confident with whoever the Padres play. And if they have to play the Mets or the Braves, Padres are obviously going to have the edge at home. You have this, the set starting pitching. You have the rest of the bullpen, and in my opinion, the most deep bullpen in baseball. And you have the Mets or the Braves having to play a doubleheader the day before. As of now, they do have to play it. There were some talk about maybe they don't play it if it's based on seeding, which to me doesn't make sense. Like, no, you have to play it because seeding affects the matchups. One team can get the better team and or the worse pitching matchup or whatever, and lose that series. And if they would have faced the other team, maybe they go on a run. Like who knows? So no, you still should play those games on Monday. Aaron says offense is cold. I would honestly be throwing everything in the dugout if I was Joe. Oh, because after what happened, I mean, I think he's probably pissed off at himself, to be honest, right? He walked the guy in front of the homer. If he didn't give up that homer, didn't walk Muncy, then who knows what that game would have looked like. Tanner Scott maybe would have given up a few runs still, but it wouldn't have been the score that it was. So I'm sure he'll take accountability for that. But he pitched really good, kept the Padres in it. Paul says, really wanted the division title. Now rest our stars, get them ready for the postseason. Not resting yet, because you got to clinch the 4 seed. If they do that, then yeah, of course, go ahead. But no, they're not going to be resting their stars tomorrow. Julio says Roberts outcoached Schilt. Playoff time, you have to start walking Ohtani. You have to bench pitchers starting late innings with a walk and so on. Okay, yeah, but this wasn't a postseason game. And Joe is at 70 pitches when he started that 7th, and then he walked Muncy, I think. Outcoach Schilt, I think that's a little bit. I mean, after Musgrove gives up the homer, right? He didn't throw a lot of pitches. Mike Schilt can't control what Tanner Scott does on the mound. He put in the right pitcher. He can't control what's happening. He didn't know that. If he knew that Tanner Scott was going to do what he did, then someone else would have been in the game, Mike Schilt, I don't think he was outcoached by Dave Roberts. Come on. No, he wasn't. Sometimes things don't go your way. The manager can't control everything. Who has the most recent postseason win? I mean, that's true. The Padres do. Dodgers didn't win anything last year. It's funny that there's Dodger fans in this chat. Like, talk about, I see Dodger fans on social media about rent-free, how we're, or they're in our heads or whatever. Because we were chanting, Padre fans were chanting, beat LA after sweeping the White Sox. And it's like, that's not rent-free. That's the Dodgers are up next and we can go win the West. That's not rent-free. To me, rent-free is more like Dodger fans being in this chat right now. You guys just won the NL West and you're not in a Dodger stream. You're in a Padre fan stream right now. I think that tells you all you need to know. Let's see here. Continuing to go through the chat. Yeah, lots of Dodger fans. Sure, keep laughing now, but I'm sure you'll not be laughing in October. Because the Dodgers, they're not winning. Yeah. Someone says here, everybody clowning on the Padres, just wait for the Dodgers special every year, Choketober. Yep. Yeah, lots of Dodger fans showing up. Interesting. Tyler says Dodger fans say they don't care, yet sure seem to talk a lot in a Padres chat. Yep. Jeez Louise. These Dodger fans are in love with the Padres or something. Carlos with the super chat. Ben, didn't you make fun of Dodgers kid at the stadium? Yeah, last year I think is what you're talking about. I apologize for that last year. Um, yeah, I was caught up in the moment. That was a stupid thing to say on my part. Dodger fan, but division means nothing. Wanted to support. Oh no, thank you. Okay, so we got a nice Dodger fan in here. Thank you. I mean, it would mean something for the Padres. I think this is fair to say. It would mean something for the Padres. First time since 2006. But for the Dodgers, you've got to be sick of it almost if you're a Dodger fan. Not of like winning the West, but when you win the West, you probably have a reminder every year when you do it like, well, still don't have that World Series title other than 2020. Still don't have that World Series, another NL West, but what are we going to do come postseason time when it matters actually, right? Because you don't have parades for winning the NL West. I also think it's funny these Dodger fans that are like trying to clown the Padres. Like us Padres fans have control over how the Padres do. Like you're making fun of Padre fans and how many postseason appearances we have in our franchise's history, and it's like we have no control over that. So I mean, okay, have fun. Hopefully that makes you laugh. It wasn't an even playing field either. You had the Dodgers spending money this whole time, and you had the Padres not spending money. So it would be one thing if the Padres had Peter Seidler as their owner, like the entire franchise's history, and they had the big payroll and all that. That would be one thing. Yeah, thanks for the super chat again. Expectation for us, not an accomplishment anymore. Again, that's a Dodger fan right there. Yeah, that is the expectation. Who expected the Padres to win the NL West this year? I mean, Padres fans didn't even expect that, right? Um, man, a lot of Dodger fans. Padres production says we would 100% win a division series versus LA. We have the better rotation and bullpen, and it's not close. I agree. We have a better rotation. I'm taking the rotation over the Dodgers. I'm taking the bullpen over the Dodgers. Sure, they have a lot of talent in that top of the lineup, but the Padres, they won the season series against this Dodgers team. And they were close to winning this series against this Dodgers team. So I mean, yeah, I take the Padres over the Dodgers as well in a postseason series. I totally would. Best of 5, best of 7, don't care. I also don't really understand the Dodger fan in San Diego thing, unless like you were born in LA or you had someone work for the Dodgers or to me that's just crazy. If you grew up in San Diego rooting for the Dodgers, that's crazy. Sorry, that's nuts. I mean, I love the back and forth between Padres and Dodgers fans. It for sure is a rivalry. I mean, Mookie even said that with Tatis on that interview today. Mookie was saying how, yeah, it's been a rivalry since he got there. And he got there in what, 2020? And Dodger fans were, I mean, some still want to say, like, oh, it's not a rivalry. All right. Any more comments that I should actually bring up here? Ben, you know nothing about being competitive. I bet you never even played a sport in your life. Okay. That's funny. What were you, like an Olympic athlete? Man, a lot of comments in here tonight. That's what Padres Dodgers does. King, Cease, Musgrove is a great 1-2-3. So if King doesn't pitch Sunday, let's say it's wrapped up 4 seed, then that could happen. But King has the bullpen experience. Musgrove, we know, would be pitching one of those 2 games or 3. Cease, we know, would start one of those games. So really the debate is King versus Darvish, and King has been the better starting pitcher, but Darvish has been pitching pretty well. And it's hard for me to imagine they leave Darvish off the roster, and then they're not going to put him in the bullpen either. Where King for me is like a really great insurance option. If one of the starters doesn't have it, and it's a best of 3, I mean, you don't want to waste a game. Take that guy out, and you can have Michael King start that game. And then worst case, you have Martin Perez start game 1 of a division series. That's not the worst thing in the world. So that's probably how I would still approach that. Biggest worry. Thanks again for this super chat. Biggest worries going into October. For me, it's the bullpen. Yeah. I mean, I know I just said earlier, like, best, most depth in the league, probably the deepest bullpen in the league. But Robert Suarez concerns me right now. And then when we see Tanner Scott with what happened today, and if that happens in a big, that could happen in a big moment. Yeah, that's a little bit concerning. That's the biggest concern, but I don't want to act like I'm super concerned about it. The only reliever that I'm actually concerned about a little bit is Robert Suarez. That's really the only one. I'm not actually concerned about Tanner Scott. It's just that, oh, well, he showed us here at Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers tonight that could happen. That's all. But I'm not sitting here like worried about the offense. I'm not worried about the rotation. Maybe I will be like during the games, but right now I'm still feeling good about this team. Oh, nice. Just classy Dodger fans calling me a B. Very classy. Is a buy detriment in baseball? It is to the Dodgers. I mean, that's a fact. When you look at historically, since the wild card, and that buy option even came about, it's a fact. But I think that those teams that lose that, I feel like that's just an excuse. I'm sorry. Maybe if I was like playing or I was managing and I was in there every day, I would like think that was more of a valid reasoning. But I'm sorry. You earn the bye, you get time off, you get to set your rotation, you get the home field advantage. Another team's coming in just playing, do or die games. They're not rested very much, right? They have the 1 day off if they played 3 games in that series. I'm sorry. I'm not going to feel so bad for you if you lose the division series and you had a bye. You had 5 days off. I do understand when players are like, well, that's longer than the All-Star break. We haven't had 5 days off since the offseason. You don't have 5 days off in spring training, didn't have it All-Star break. I mean, you just don't have that. So I do understand that, but they take batting practice. I'm sure you could take live BP. I know it's not the same as a game, but again, I just don't feel very bad for the teams that earn the bye during the regular season. And then like their fan bases act like, I wanted the wild card series so we could keep playing. Why would you want that? I want get me immediately to the second round. I don't want to play the wild card series. So it can be a detriment, but I feel like those teams that have a bye, you can't let that get into your head that maybe it's going to be a detriment. Maybe we're not going to perform well. You got to be confident going in. Urgency, obviously, but you can't even be thinking about that. You need to use it to your advantage. So I err on the side that it's not a detriment. It's just those teams didn't play good enough in the division series. But there's been guys that are actually in it that kind of disagree with that. All right, that's going to do it. Talking Friars episode 638. Padres, they do not win the NL West this year. But, I mean, considering going into the year, if you would have told me that September 26th, the beginning of the day, they still would have been in it for the NL West, I would have took that all day long, and I would have been pleasantly surprised. And I would have been like, I mean, this team's going to the postseason. If they're in it with the Dodgers on September 26th, I mean, they're probably going to be over 90 wins, first wild card, and that's where they're at. So I think we got it, Padres fans. I think we've got to take it that way that, hey, we're going to get the home games. We're going to have good pitching. We have a really good roster. Won the season series against that Dodgers team. And we're still playing really good baseball right now. 7-3 in the last 10. Best record, I think, since the All-Star break, right? Obviously, that stat going around, they were 50-50, and now whatever their record is now, way over 500. So they're still in a good spot. It's not the end of the world. Plenty of teams win the wild card, get through the regular season as a wild card team, and they get to the World Series and even win it as a wild card team. So Padres, they definitely have the ability to do that.